I'm going to be honest with you. At this point in time, I have no idea what this series will be about. All I can say is that it's about university student donghua and the adventures he gets into with Bobo. I know, super vague, but that's all I can deduce in the 4 episodes that I've seen so far. Now, I won't waste any more time and get straight into what has transpired so far in the story. The story starts off with a drunk man stumbling upon someone or someone's midnight treasure hunt at the local graveyard. The following day, or minutes in our case, we learn that a body was missing from one of the graves. Conveniently, the bodiless grave's supposedly granddaughter arrives at the graveyard. The key word here is supposedly, because the owner of the empty grave is noted to only have a grandson who is studying in a university somewhere in a big city. Where? I have no idea. Don't think we're privy to this information, or I just wasn't paying attention if they did mention it. Anyways, later that day, the grandson of the dead man, our main character, donghua, turns up. He hears of the news that his grandfather's body has been stolen. After throwing a hissy fit jam-packed with background information of himself, he storms off and decides to pay the empty grave a visit. Upon nearing the grave, he hears shoveling sounds. Following the sound, he found a mysterious girl, his supposedly older sister, Bao merrily digging away at the graveyard. Being a proud member of this very technology-dependent generation, he pulls out his phone and sneakily snaps a picture of Bao. Bao must have been rather upset as she knocked the poor Tulan out with a shovel.
I don't blame her. If I was in her situation, I would do the same thing. That will teach him to not turn off the flash.
Upon waking from his little nap, a series of rather interesting events involving a cleaver-yielding girl, Bao, and zombies occur. I will spare you the details and jump straight to end result. Bao left Tulan to fend for himself.
Yay! The main character got devoured by zombies. End of story, yay!
No, sadly that didn't happen. Somehow, Tulan wiped out the zombies and escaped. Who knows how long later, with a new identity, Bao shows up in Tulan's university lecture and things get heated real fast. Tulan found his clothes flying off in pieces in all directions, and before we know it, he's butt naked. Bao once more proves to us just how capable of a fighter she is, even though Tulan is supposed to be a rather capable fighter himself, as we learn of in his flashbacks and his Goku-esque aura thing. Upon losing the fight and some blackmailing from Bao, Tulan finds himself with a new identity, Bao's slave. Being the young, hot-blooded, independent young man he is, he decides to defy his master's very first demands, by going on a date with a cute underclassman. You see, Tulan's under a mission, the mission of escaping Virgin Land. I'll give him a clap for his bravery of skipping plans with Master Bao, but I doubt he'd do it again anytime too soon in the near future, as he found that his night ended in a rather interesting way, his very own kidnapping. What can I say? Don't defy Master Bao, nothing good will come out of it. Tulan was kidnapped by what I was assumed to be the main villain corporation that is running in the world of Outcast. And Bao, being the responsible master she is, tracks down Tulan via the GPS-planted mobile phone she gave Tulan the previous day. She rocked up to Tulan's holding place with Shu-san, her pal, and an epic save Princess Tulan took place. Also, I would like to say, in reality, the initial showdown between the villains and the heroes, Bao and Shu-san, was rather lackluster. The villains didn't come across to be very intimidating. I mean, how scary can a forever horny chick and a chuny girl and a girl with the same intelligence as the zombie she's controlling be? Very, is done right. The keyword is being done right. In this case, not really. So far, they're too shallow to be scary, and the way that they're portrayed didn't make them to be very much of a threat. We're told they're a threat, a big one at that, but I fail to see that. Don't just tell me, you've got to show me. But then again, with the animation quality, I'm asking for too much, aren't I? Since I'm already talking about my thoughts on the villains, I might as well move on and talk about my thoughts on what I've seen so far. To be honest, I was quite upset after seeing the 4th episode, as my expectations got amped up due to the epic cliffhanger that episode 3 ended on. However, having calmed down a fair bit, the series so far isn't too bad, or rather as bad as I thought it would be. I was prepared for it to be bad, but yeah, my low expectations for this is paying off. You're probably wondering why am I watching a series I view to be below average in almost every possible way. Simply put, I heard good things about season 2, and innately I have a curiosity for Chinese animation. It must be the Chinese blood within me.
I want to watch the Chinese produce good animation.
Another reason being my sister adores 一人之下. Unlike me, she isn't too fond of action or battle series. She's more of a cute girls or boys doing cute things kind of person. So I'm rather curious, what does she see in this? So far, I'm failing to see what she's seeing. but I'm not yet ready to give up. Now, let's talk about my thoughts on the art in this. I'm normally not one to pick a nick at the animation. For the most part, my philosophy is, if it moves, it's good enough. That said, I can tell the difference between good and poor animation, for the most part. The animation here is on the poor side. From time to time, I do find it a little jarring, but as a whole, so far, they're watchable, and hey, there are some short moments I do find myself pleasantly surprised. For example, parts of the fight in episode 2.
The one fight that everyone seems to reference for good animation when they mention the Outcast.
Last part on the animation. It depends on which dub you choose. In the Chinese one, the mouths aren't synced too well. The mouths continue flapping well after the completion of the dialogue. Might not be a problem for the Japanese dub, but it is in the Chinese one, and it gets quite annoying. Now the art part. Let's start with the character design. Please, am I asking for too much for them to pick one design and stick with it? In episode 1,
the only episode where I was bothered to count,
I found 5 versions of Tulan's face. It's not so big of a problem that I don't know who is who, because the different characters are quite distinct, but it's a little hard to remember what each character looks like. Enough on the art, let's talk about my thoughts on the story. 4 episodes in, and I'm gonna say it's too soon for me to say what I think about the story. I haven't seen enough of it to judge. That in itself says something, doesn't it? It's moving at a speed that will make any snail proud. Some parts drag for a little too long for my liking. For example, the flashbacks in episode 2 and pretty much the entirety of episode 4. It honestly feels like nothing happened in episode 4. Majority of the episode was spent at the abandoned building, the showdown between Shusam, Bobo, and the villain trio. Forgot their names.
Real memorable they are.
And the main character wallowing in self-pity. Now, for the most part, by the 3rd and 4th episode, I generally have an idea of what a series is aiming for. But for this, I'm coming up blank. However, this is not out of the ordinary for a series that is aimed to be long-running, which this series seems to be leaning towards. Also, I hope it is, otherwise it's taken too long to introduce itself. Now, after all this negativity, let's talk of something happy. I do like that I find myself chuckling at most of the jokes. For someone that isn't too fond of comedy animes, I rather like that I'm enjoying the jokes here. I just hope they don't get overly repetitive. I feel that one needs to know a little about Chinese culture to be able to appreciate the humor in this, and I don't know how well these jokes translate to Japanese than to English, since lost in translation is a thing. This probably came across as rather negative, but honestly, it's not nearly as bad as the internet makes it out to be. And deep down, I do want this to be good. So let's hope that the story picks up and gets better from here on out.